Nibbles. The pond's awake after the frost.
Oh, wow, waves and all.
And our
Do you remember the life before YouTube? When you actually had to be up by a certain time to watch your favorite shows? Or before the life of influencers, the ones that sometimes shape the people's opinions? Oh, and let's also not forget, before the life of ad blocker. Well, I do, and honestly, I kinda miss it. Life before YouTube was a simple time most people over the age of 27 will remember. Instead of waking up and opening your phone to watch your favorite creator or doom scroll through the endless depth of YouTube shorts, daily routines looked very different, and it varied greatly depending on each person's situation. A lot of this depended on your location and the money you were willing to spend on entertainment. So today we are going to bring back some of that old nostalgia of the early days and also show the new and future generations of what we had before YouTube and before all the streaming services took over. But before we do that, we need to talk about the different situations people had. So depending on the age, it depended on what your TV life was. That variation was if you had cable. Cable back then was like having a subscription now. If you had no cable, then you were kind of restricted to around 7 to 83 channels, depending on the antenna you had, which is this thing, or the location of where you lived. This mattered mainly because of the distance it would reach to the towers and what signals of shows you could pick up. Now, if you were lucky enough and able to pay for cable, then you had thousands of channels and a ton of options to choose from. But let's be honest, there were really only a few channels people actually wanted to watch. Now, the younger viewer may be asking themselves right now, how did you know what was going to be on? Well, that's kind of a simple answer. Normally, you would need to wake up and look through the TV guide to see what's playing at what hour and what station. Normally, you can get the info a week in advance on what was playing. You could do this by looking through your local TV paper guide or through the TV menu, if you had that. Now, depending on the day and the time depended on what was playing. So, for example, if it was cartoons, around 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. was more of the kids' shows, mainly for kids around up to 6 years old. So, shows like Teen Titans Go, Dora the Explorer, Bugs Bunny, or something like Tom and Jerry. Then shifting over to the afternoon, you had more of a family-style shows. Stuff playing like SpongeBob, X-Men, and the Teen Titans. This was normally when the teens or the parents got off school and work. And then you got the nighttime, which was more for adults or the late teens. So stuff like anime, South Park, or the famous 1 in the morning George Lopez. Yeah, I hope that brought you some memories. This was more for when the younger ones went to bed usually, and after you got done doing whatever adult things you had to get done. Now, through the cable era, there were no such things as life influencers, as in like iShowSpeed or Markiplier. The only real influencers you had were the ones you watched on your favorite TV shows. For kids, it was more like cartoon characters, and for adults, it was some weird fake reality TV show, which people knew was fake. Unless you were one of the people that thought it was real, then I don't know what to tell you. Now, let's shift over to something that would be a nightmare for the newer generation. The consistent 3 to 5 minute ads. Imagine this. About every 13 minutes, you get an unskippable ad, and a repetitive set of ads for about 3 to 5 minutes in the middle of your show. Now, depending on the network channel you're watching, you could get it even 2 times per episode, like on Comedy Central, the ones with like South Park. Now, do this for me. Go talk to an older adult and ask them what ad do they remember, because they probably got a list on their mind, like J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Now, I want to add one last thing, and that was for the ending generation of cable. This is more around where I was, and that was something we had called On Demand, which was an earlier version of something like Netflix. You sometimes find a show for free, or you can rent out a movie on the list that they had. But if you had a recording box, a lot of your problems kind of disappeared. You could simply set up a time or a certain show to be recorded and come back later with a fast forward option. Well, that was the life before YouTube and how we watched our stuff, from the planning of the days to what model of television we had at the time. Life was completely different before entertainment videos were at our fingertips. Do you remember cable, and do you think it was better than what we have now? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see y'all in the next one.